Hello, this is Kate. I'm WoollyFae. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be working with Tapestry front side only. We're going to be working a small swatch of 27 stitches and 9 rows. When you chain this, you'll be chaining 28 because we'll be working into the back bump. So if you want to try to jump ahead of this, you can either create the foundation row of 27 or chain 28. In this, we're going to be using 3 different colors. We're going to begin with only one color. That'll establish the foundation. And then we're going to be working with 2 colors for row 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to add a 3rd color on row 5. So this will give you an opportunity to gradually increase the number of yarns that you're using. On the first row, we call that the foundation row. When you chain, it's a foundation chain, and then you add your first stitches. That's your foundation row. That'll be the first stitches you put into the chain. And then from there on up, of course, you just read 1, 2, all the way up, and you read it from the right to the left. Now, with traditional tapestry, you would work both sides. You'd start on row 1 and work across, and then you turn the work. After you turn the work, you'd read the graph from the left side of row 2 all the way over to the right. And then you'd turn the work again, and so the 3rd row you would read from the right to the left and turn, and 4th you'd read from the left to the right. So every time you turn, you go the opposite direction on the graph. With front side tapestry, you actually fasten off on the final stitch. So that's stitch number 27 on this swatch, and then you add your new yarn on the next row. You do that with every row so you never turn your work. Another important thing about front side tapestry is that you must work into the back loop. If you do not work into the back loop, your work will start to get a leaning box effect. So it'll tilt slightly on both sides, and there's nothing you can do to correct that. You'd have to start over, and you won't even notice it until you're probably 15-20 rows in. So you always want to work into the back loop. So I'm going to be using 3 different colors today. You can use DK weight, you can use Aran weight, or what you call worsted weight, or you can use a chunky. It's up to you what you use. Use an appropriately sized hook. I'm going to be using DK, which is light worsted, and I'm also going to be using a 3.75 millimeter clover hook, which is a size F. And you'll also need a pair of clippers. You'll be using these a lot. So go ahead and chain 28. Hit that pause button anytime you need to catch up, and then play again when you're ready to resume. So if you have 28 chains, we're now going to place a single crochet under the back bump of every chain, starting with the 2nd bump from your hook. This is why you end up with 27 stitches on the foundation row. You should be able to see the edge of the other chain here, so you know it is the 2nd chain. 1, 2. You're going to go under that back bump. That's that little ridge on the back side. And real quick, let me just show for those who are not sure what I'm talking about. On one side of your chain, it is completely flat. On the other side, you have these little ridges. So these ridges right here is where you're going to be placing your stitches. So you're going to go to the 2nd one from your hook. You're going to put your hook up under that. You're going to pull up a loop. You're going to complete a single crochet stitch. And then again, you're going to push your hook up under that back bump. You're going to pull up a loop, and then you're going to complete a single crochet stitch. And you're going to continue to do that all the way to the end. When you get there, wait on me, and remember, you should have 27 stitches in all. Okay, so once you've completed the foundation row, you're then going to fasten off. You'll be fastening off at the end of every row. But before we do that, a lot of times when you come to the end of that first row, you just need to shore everything up. So I'm holding the tail here, and I'm just kind of pulling it down, not too tight, but just give me a little bit of a tug. And then I also do the same thing here. We'll just kind of try to move all of that in line with each other so that it's not loose and hanging with big gaps. So we're not going to turn the work. And now we're going to chain 2, 1, 2. We take our scissors, we clip off the yarn. Now we have a little tail here. Just going to pull that hook straight up until that tail releases. Grab a hold of the tail with one hand, and with the other slide down the shaft where those chains were. That forms a very firm knot. You're not going to be able to pull that out. So always check your work. See how that's really nice and level here. Always check your work before you fasten off, because it's easier to go back, frog it back a bit, and fix any mistakes you've made than it is to pull this knot out and have to redo it. So to add your new yarn, you want to first look at your graph. And on this graph, as you can see, we've completed the foundation row, which is row 1. Now we're on the second row. You can see in row 2 here that we're going to need both color A and color B. And you can kind of look and see there's 2 to start with of the color A, and then 2 before you tie off. So the rest of these in between are color B. So that's pretty simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to put your hook under both loops of that first stitch. Now, just in case you're fairly new to crochet and you've never studied the structure of it, you always have a back loop and a front loop. Okay, so in tapestry, front side only tapestry, you're always working into the back loop right here, and you're leaving that front loop. That's what's forming that ridge that I told you about. So you always start attach your yarn under both loops, and then work back loops the rest of the way down. And then on the final one, you always put your hook under both loops on the final stitch when you're going to fasten off, when you finish that last stitch. So you'll stick your hook under both of those. And here's my color A. I'm going to be using it again, but before I do, I take my other colors. In this case, it's just color B, and I lay that just over the hook. So you can do that while you're holding it and just pin it down with your finger like this. Now I take the yarn that I'm going to start with. In this graph, it will always be purple. As you can see, the first stitch is always purple. So we're going to pin that one to it as well. You're going to draw that color A through the purple, and then you're going to chain 1. Then you're going to insert the hook right back into the very same stitch at the beginning. Okay, you're going to pull up another loop, and now you're going to complete a single crochet. Now you want to be sure to keep these little tails out of the way. I'll be trimming them as I go, but the only thing that you want along here, this side, are your 2 yarns. So these tails, you want to kind of take a little care in just kind of sweeping them out of the way. Now the next rule here, I've already learned about working into the back loop only. What you need to remember here is that this yarn needs to stay on the back. So we've got the first stitch where we attach, insert your hook into the back loop only of the next stitch, pull up a loop and stop. On this graph, if you notice, we've already discussed this, but you've got 2 stitches in color A, and then we revert to color B on the 3rd stitch. I've kind of got them marked here. So you leave the 2 loops on here. So let's just do that again real good so you can watch. Okay, insert your hook into the back loop, pull up your loop, but instead of completing that single crochet like you normally would, you're going to pull this yarn forward. You're going to take the color B and you're going to pull it through both of those loops to complete that single crochet. Now notice you've completed the stitch with a different color, but color A is still forming the 2nd stitch. So we will have 2 color A stitches here, even though we completed it with color B. Now for color B, we're going to go all the way across. Now let's talk about sorting yarn real quick. All right, well, you take one color and you put it on one side of you. You take the other color and you put it on the other side of you, but you want them to go in different directions so that they don't tangle up. So let's go ahead and add our first color B stitch. Okay, I'm going to pull this yarn to the back, pin it, with your finger, one right above the pinky, and then you're going to insert your hook under the back loop only. You're also going to make sure that you're getting it under this yarn that you're holding to the back, okay, because we're covering it up. You want to make sure it goes through the stitch and the one on the back. So you're going to pull up that loop and complete that single crochet. So it might take a little practice before your hands and your brain work together on this, but if you just continue, just soldier on, it'll be no time at all that it's just second nature to you. So as you can see, I am going all the way down, back loop only. All right, and let's just continue to do that. You don't finish the last 3 stitches. When you get there, you turn your video back on and we'll see how to complete this. All right, so we've come to the final 3 stitches on your row, and you're going to do one more. As you can see, we've got one more color B and then 2 color A before we fasten off. So what you want to do, go ahead, just like you did before, insert your hook, pull up that loop. Now you're switching to another color, so you do not complete this stitch. Instead, pull this forward like this, grab your color A, complete that stitch, that color B stitch with the color A, and as you can see, it remains color B. And now we do our first color A stitch into the back loop of the next stitch. Now on our final stitch, we go under both loops. Remember to fasten off. Okay? Chain 2, clip it off, pull that up, and then slide those chains down till they form a knot. And once again, remember to always check your work before you do that. Okay. Now we're moving to row 3. On row 3, as you can see, we begin with our color A as we will all the way up. Our second stitch is color A. Our third stitch is color B. And then we're going back to color A and going all the way across. The final 3 stitches will be color B into color A. So once again, you're going to do exactly what you did before. You're going to stick your hook up under the very first stitch under both loops. This and the final stitch are the only exceptions. The rest of the time you work into the back loop only. You're going to get your yarn, your color A ready, and then you're going to lay color B across the hook. You can do this while you're holding it actually, but you're going to want to pin it down with your finger. Grab your color A, pull it through, you're pulling up a loop, chain 1, go back into the exact same stitch, just insert your hook there, pull up another loop. You should have 2 loops on your hook, complete a single crochet. So once you've attached the yarn to the first stitch, then the next thing you want to do is just kind of make sure your fringe is out of the way. You don't want to get caught up in the first few stitches of your new row. You're going to make sure that you've pinned this color B to the back. Don't pull on it though, because this will come right out. It's still resting in there. There's nothing holding it back. So if you start tugging from this side, it's just going to come right out, and that's going to be annoying. So when you insert your hook into the back loop of that second stitch, just make sure that you're inserting it under this color B as well, because you want to vary that as you go. So go ahead and pull up the loop, but because we're changing colors, we're not going to finish it. Instead, we're going to pull this to the front like this, and then we're going to take our color B and complete that stitch with color B. Now I just kind of don't pull it too tight. You don't want to stress the stitches, but you do kind of want to make sure, you know, that everything is not loose and sloppy. So we're going to do our first color B stitch here. Insert the hook under the back loop, but as you can see, we're going to be changing, oops, get back over here. We're going to be changing back to color A. So we've got the first 2 color A, we switched to color B. Now we're switching back to color A. So we don't complete that stitch. We just pull this forward, okay? Grab the purple, okay, and pull that through. I'm going to pin the color B to the back, and I'm going to do my first color A stitch again. Here we go. And so we're going to continue color A until we get to the last 3 stitches. So hit pause and we'll resume from there. Okay, so I have 3 stitches remaining on my row. Once again, I'm just going to pull this yarn forward. I complete the stitch with my color B, pull up a loop, complete that color B stitch with color A, because we're changing colors again immediately. And then I'm going to do the final 2 stitches. Do that one through the back loop, and the final one, I go under both loops. Still carrying my yarn. I complete a single crochet, and then I chain 2. Okay, so you may have noticed that this is starting to curl a bit. It will not curl indefinitely. It starts to actually level out a bit as the project gets longer. But also when you wash it, all of the curl will come out of it completely. You won't have that problem at all. Now we're going to be doing row number 4, and the pattern has changed a bit, but we're still going to be going with 2 colors on this row. Okay. And we start again with 2 color A, color B, 3 color A, 3 color B, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and then 1 color B, and then 2 color A. So we're on row 4 right here, and on the next row right here, we will add our 3rd color. It gives you just a little bit of practice before you dive into the deep end. So put your hook under both loops of that first stitch. You're going to lay your color B over the top of the hook. Just kind of pin it there with your finger. Okay, you are then going to pin the purple to the back as well. Pull up a loop and chain 1. That should trap your color B, as I said before. Make sure that your fringe isn't going to get caught up in your first few stitches. So now you're going to do your next color B, color A. But don't complete the stitch. To complete the stitch, you're going to pull up color B, complete it by going through both of those loops. Now you're going to do your color B stitch, but there's only one. So you go in behind that back loop. You make sure that you're also going under color A. Keep it to the back. Pull up a loop, but don't complete it, because now you're going back to color A. Pull this through. That's color B that you're pulling forward. Now you're going to pull color A through both of those loops to complete that stitch. Again, just pointing out to you that color B remains color B, even though you've completed it with the other color. So then you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop, single crochet, and then just make sure that you're keeping this yarn to the back side the whole way. So we've got 1, 2, 3 on the 3rd stitch. You're going to stop, pull that forward. So I'm just going to pull color B through that. Going to pin color A to the back here. Insert my hook under the back loop and do 3. 1, 2, 3, and I stop on the 3rd one. Pull this color forward. Pull the yarn through both loops to change colors. Insert your hook into the next stitch and do 3 color A's. 1, 2, 3. Now you're going to do 3 color B stitches. 1, 2, 3. Pull the yarn forward. Draw your color A through the stitch. Pull this back. You're going to be pinning. Now see how they're crossed? See how they're crossed here? You're just going to go ahead and pull it back there anyway. And complete a single crochet. Hook into the back loop. Make sure your hook's going under both the stitch and the color B yarn. Insert the hook into the back loop, pull up a loop, stop. So I complete that stitch with color B. Now we're going to do color A again. If you look at the graph, we do that 3 times where we do 3 in a row. And there are 4 times where we do color A 3 in a row. So we've done 1, 2, and we're going to complete the stitch with color B. Insert the hook into the back loop of the next color B stitch. Pull up a loop. I'm going to complete it now with color A. And we got 2 more stitches into the back loop for the next to the last stitch. And on the last stitch, we go under both loops. And make sure we're also going under color B. I want to cover it entirely. And then we finish that stitch and chain 2. So when we begin row 5, the first thing we want to do again is kind of assess the situation. And we can see we've got 3 colors, color A, color B, and color C. So this is where we're going to be working with 3 yarns. We're only going to do it for 1 row because you're going to be switching yarn colors almost every stitch. So what you want to do is you want to make sure that all of your yarns are separate. So I have my color B coming in from my right. I have color A coming in from my left. And then for color C, what I've done is I've moved it behind me and the yarn is feeding up to the left, but not in the same direction as color A. So once you've sifted your yarn, sorted it in the right directions, then you will begin to add your 3 yarns to the project. Real quick, let me say that if you find it difficult to keep your yarns from tangling, what you can do is put them in a cardboard box. Cut a hole in the side of the box, feed the yarn through the hole, and of course, if you have a lid to keep on there, that would work great as well. So to just keep all the yarns separated that way. So the only thing you have to worry about is sifting them and keeping them straight at the top. But moving on, what we want to do now is we want to save the color that we're starting, which was the color A. We want to add it last. So we do as we have done all along. We add our colors to the hook. Just drape it over the top. Pin it with your finger. So I've got color B and color C here now. And then of course we go ahead and we grab our starting color, color A. Pull up a loop, chain 1, insert the hook back into that same stitch again, pull up a loop, and complete the single crochet. Now you want to be careful about pulling too much on these until they've been attached to an actual stitch, because this is hanging out this side and you could pull it right through. So for the next stitch, then again, back loop, and you're going to insert your hook, pull up a loop, and stop, because you're changing then to color B. So what you want to do is pull the yarn forward. You're just going to always be sifting these, and that may seem like a lot of fiddling. When your brain and your hands start to work together automatically, though, you won't even notice it. So we're pulling color B through the 2 loops off color A from the previous stitch. And we're going to insert the hook into the 3rd stitch, pull up a loop for our color B stitch. So this is our 3rd stitch, row 5, 1, 2, 3. The next stitch is color A. So we're going to pull color A through to complete the stitch, and on the 5th stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we're going to change to the duckade color. So we're going to pull the yarn forward, pull these yarns out like this, just kind of make sure that they're not all bunched up there. Pull your color B, your color C through your color A, and then insert your hook into the next stitch and stop. So we're going to be switching back and forth like this the whole way. So we are on we're doing stitch number 5. The next stitch is going to be color A. You're going to pull color A through those 2 loops, insert your hook into the next stitch. So we have done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Our next color is color B. I'm going to pull these forward. Go ahead and pull color B through. Take these to the back. Insert your hook into the next stitch. We're on stitch number 7, and stitch number 7 again is color C. So we're going to pull these forward. Then you're going to complete the stitch with color C. And then the next stitch again will be color B. So I'm going to insert the hook into the next stitch, pull up the loop, again, pull these forward because we're going to color B again. Now I'm not making it real tight, but I am trying to make sure that the stitches are not sloppy. So I stick my hook into the next one, back loop only. Make sure those yarns are always over the top of the hook too. Pull up that loop, stop, because once again, we're changing. We're going to color A. Okay, so I'm going to pull color A and color B and color C forward and take color A through the 2 loops of color B. Insert your hook into that back loop. You're going to pull up a loop and you're going to go to the next color. So we're going to do color C again. So I'm going to take both of these and pull them forward. I'm going to grab color C and I'm going to pull it through those 2 loops to complete that stitch. Now I've got to go into the back loop of the next stitch, pull up that loop, and again, we do it again. It'll be color A this next time. Into the next stitch, stop, and now we're going to go with color B. Now I'm just marked on these just so that it's easier to keep up with where I'm at on them, and then now I can see that my next stitch here is going to be color B. Pull it up. Insert my hook into the next stitch, back loop only. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to color C again. So we're going to pull these 2 forward and draw the color C through. Now we're going to insert our hook into the next stitch. Stop with 2 loops on the hook. Color B to complete the stitch. Insert the hook into the next stitch. Be sure you're holding these on the back. Don't want to let them fall loose. Right? And now we're going to go with color A. Let me go ahead and mark that. That way I can just make sure I'm on the right set. Okay, so that's color A. Insert that hook into the next stitch. Stop. Going to go back to color C. Pull these forward. Grab this. Complete that stitch with color C. Pulling these back. Insert that hook. Pull up that loop. And I'm just going to give it the slightest tug, but not too hard. You don't want to change the tension on it. You just want to make sure that nothing is sloppy. So we're going to pull color A through here now. Now you're going to insert your hook into the back loop of the next stitch. Stop. Okay. The next color on that is going to be color B. Now I had to stop for a minute and just sift my yarns back. So you just want to be sure that they're going in the right directions, that they're not wrapping, just slowly wrapping up until they're unmanageable. You want to make sure you're always sifting them back into the right place. And as I was saying, if they crisscross it, see how this color A crisscrosses over this color B, just go ahead and hold it into place, okay? Whoop. And pull your color B through those last two loops. Go ahead and go into the next stitch, back loop only, pull up a loop, and then you could just kind of slide your fingers across here gently so that you can make sure there's nothing bunched up under there. Okay, so we're not going to actually complete this stitch. What we're going to do now is we're going to complete the stitch with color C. Insert that hook into the next stitch, under the back loop only, up under both of those yarns. Pull up a loop, stop, pull that forward. The next color is going to be color B again. So we're going to pull the color A forward as well. Take color B, pull it through both loops. And at this point, because it was all a bit loose and we're crisscrossing, I'm not yanking. I'm just kind of sliding. A pull that it is pulling, but it's just kind of a slide, okay? All right, so we're going to insert a hook into the next stitch. Pull up a loop. Okay, so we were on this one, so now we're going to go color A, C, A. All right, so let's pull color A through. Right, and I'm going to take color B and C to the front for just a second. Color A through. Go into the next stitch. Back loop only. Okay, and now we're going to add color C. And I've got to sift my yarns again. So very quickly, I'm moving them all in the direction that they're coming from. Now I'm going to gather those up, hold them to the back, and I'm going to insert the hook into the next stitch and pull up a loop. Now I'll just kind of slide my hand through there to make sure that everything's smooth. And the next color is going to be color A again. Insert the hook into the back loop of that next stitch. Pull this forward. Pull color B through to complete the stitch. Insert the hook into the back loop. Stop. Go back to color A. Make sure you're under the both loops. You're going through the back loop on the next to the last stitch, so you're going to want to be sure that you're carrying these the whole way. Okay, so you can go ahead and complete that stitch because we're not changing again. We're on these final two stitches. And then on the last one, we go under both loops. We complete a single crochet. We do make sure that these are still over the top of the hook. Complete that single crochet, chain 2, clip it off, and tighten it down. On row 6, we have only 2 colors. We have color A, we have color A, and we have color B. So we're going to take our color B and put it over the hook. And then I am going to pull up a loop. I'm going to chain 1, insert my hook right back into that same stitch, pull up another loop, and complete the single crochet. Now on row 6, the next one, of course, as with all of them, is color A again. So we insert the hook into the back loop, under the back loop. We make sure this yarn on the back is draped over it, so we're putting the hook under that as well. Pull up a loop, and then we're not going to complete that stitch because we're changing to color B. So we're going to pull color A forward. See how much easier this feels now that you've done row 5. You're going to complete the stitch with your new color. Kind of lean this toward the back. Insert your hook under the back loop. Pull up a loop. We're going to complete the stitch with our new color. Okay, we're on row 6. So now we're going to have 1, 2, 3, color A. So insert our hook into the next stitch. And the next. And the next. And stop on the 3rd stitch. Do not complete it. You are now going to do 3, color B. So do 1, 2, 3, but I don't complete it. Pull that forward. Complete the stitch with color A. Now I'm going to sift my yarns to make sure they're in the right position. And we're going to do 3, color A. So this needs to be on the back. There we go. 1. And I'm going to give that a pull since we had to wrap it back there again. 2, 3. I don't complete it. Instead, I go directly to color B to complete the stitch. Now 3, color B. 1, 2, 3. Oh. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we've done 2 color B. We're on the 3rd one, so we're going to do 3 color B now. So I've been sitting here counting as I go, but basically we've done 3 color A, 3 color B, 3 color A, 3 color B, 3 color A, and now we're going to do 3 color B. There you go. So I'm doing 3 color A now. And that completes our count 3 repeats. So we're on 6, row 6, and so now we're going to do 1 color B and 2 color A to end. Okay, so I'm just going to pull color B through to complete that stitch. Insert the hook under the next stitch, pull up a loop. Okay, and now I'm just going to change back to color A. There we go. I complete that single crochet in the back loop. And on the final stitch, I'm going to go under both loops, complete a single crochet, chain 2, fasten off. Okay. So as you can see now, we have the little boxes with the duck egg centers in them. So I'm going to do one more row because I'm running it short on time. Insert my hook into both loops of that first stitch. We're going to add the new yarn. But before we do, let's just take a look at row 7. Row 7 is 2 color A, 1 color B, and then we do color A all the way down until the last 3 stitches. On the 3rd stitch from the end, we do 1 color B, and then we do 2 color A. So we're going to lay this over the top color B because, as always, we're starting with color A. We're going to pull up a loop with color A, chain 1, insert the hook back into the same stitch. The next stitch is color A, so I'm going to insert it under the back loop. I'm not going to complete it because I've got to do a color B. So I complete the stitch with color B, insert my hook into the next stitch, back loop only, pull up a loop. We're switching back to color A. So now I'm just going to hold color A to the back, and I am going to do a back loop, single crochet all the way down until I reach 3rd to the last stitch.
Give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and please share.